name is Danielle, and I am a junior-ish at UNT. I was on leadership last year at the BSM. And this past summer, I had the opportunity to go to East Asia. So I'm just going to share a little bit about what God did in my life through that trip. When I first found out that I was going, I was super excited. Had to start the fundraising process, which is ridiculous, lots of money that you have to pay, but it's totally worth it, and God does provide. I had to raise $3,200, and I was like, there's no way that this is going to happen, but if God wants you to do something, the money's not going to be an issue. That's a promise. I was under the impression that we were going to be teaching English and living on campus and involved in all these extra activities, but when we got there, nothing was what I thought it was. Which they kind of told us that, just be prepared because it's not going to be what you think. Things change. So that's exactly what happened. We got there and we weren't teaching, we were actually taking Chinese classes. It was not, do this at this time. We just had a bunch of free time, and so we had to basically go out and meet people and just build relationships with them so that we could share the love of Christ with them and our testimony, and it'd be okay, because being a closed country, you can't just go up to somebody and be like, hey, let me tell you about Jesus. That's bad. You can't do that. And it was really discouraging. Like I shared, several times, and it was just so discouraging because nobody was receptive. And I was just like, God, like I'm here to do your work. I'm here, to tell people about Jesus, but like none of them, like I'm doing what you want me to do. Why aren't they being receptive? God quickly revealed to me, like, it's not about me, it's not about what I can do, or, how I can change these people. It's, like, our job is not to save them. We can't save them. Our job is simply to present the gospel, to share with them, to plant that seed. There was one person in particular who I became really close with over the 2 months that I was there. She wanted me to give her books to read, so I'm like, hey, perfect plan, got it, all under control. We're gonna, slip in the gospel here and she's not even gonna know it. So I went out and bought these, it was like a kid version of the Old and New Testament, and it was like colored pictures, and it had it half in Chinese and half in English. So I gave it to her, and she was like, well, can I come back with questions and can we talk about it, like the content of it? I was like, yes, please, and so it was totally awesome. So I give her this book, and there was two of them, the Old and New Testament, and each one was probably this thick, and granted it was like a kid's book and had lots of pictures, but it was easy reading. But she called me the next day and was like, I read both of them in one night, can we please meet and talk? And I was like, yes. So we sit down, and she has this list, or she has this like, spiral, and she has just question after question written out, just like, why didn't Adam and Eve do what they did? Like, why would God punish them so much? Is God a hateful person? Just like all these great questions that led to great conversations. One day she calls me and she was like, we need to sit down and talk. And I was like, okay. So we scheduled a time to meet and sit down and talk. And she was like, I need to tell you something. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is this? She like was so serious and stuff. And she was like, I'm not a Christian. And I was like, I was aware of that, and she was just like, and she like starts like kind of tearing up, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And she was just like, I was so afraid to tell you because I was afraid that you didn't want to be my friend anymore. And it just broke my heart because like, that's how we're perceived. Like we're here to like shove the gospel in their face, and if you don't accept, we move on to the next person, and like, that's not how Christ loved us. Like I still talk to her today, and we talk about probably like 2 to 3 times a week, and it's just been, great. She hasn't responded to the Lord, but that seed has definitely been planted, and it's still being watered to this day. It was a great experience to go there, and I went in there expecting to change people's lives, or I change people's lives. Yeah, that's funny. That's not our job, for one. And for two, it changed my life more than it affected other people. And so I would totally recommend going on a mission trip, whether it's to New York or East Asia or India, wherever. Like, it'll really change your life and your perspective and your view on everything, and just how you just value the relationship that you do have with the Lord, and it'll change your life. It really will.